Eric Mother.com as a follow-up of yesterday's intraday timing video for DUG. Let's take a look at USO, which is gapping up now the next day, up about 5%. I think was up as much as 7% in the pre-market and early on. So we've been trading for about 45 minutes and want to take a look at what this might represent. Number one, this is the daily, about 5-6% gain for the day. Let's take a look at the big picture first, and clearly we're trading below 30.90. That's on the monthly. Take a look at the weekly. As of right now, the weekly was doing its best to move above 30.9. We are not yet above that, so we haven't seen the push above that. So we're still looking for a reason why this market could stall. We take a look at the daily, and the daily we come back to the previous. If you take a look at this chart by itself, actually you'll see around here, around the 50, it's been a problematic area. We broke down here off the highs in the 20s, lower 20s range, and so we can draw a line which so happens to be at around RSI 50 on the daily. And every time we move above that and back below it with uniform activity, we tend to stall. And I think we're coming back to test that level there, in my opinion. More than likely, this is where if it cannot hold above 50 on a day-to-day basis, eventually it might have to pull back to test the lows here. And if we take a look at the hourly, right now we are still coming back to that general area, given this break point here. There's a break here, and again this line so happens to be at about 61.8. right now the RSI is at 62, so right now RSI is at 62.09, and I am saying that this is close enough to 61.8, right? Close enough. And we can see here could be an area where one can expect some type of resistance, or at least contemplation. If it can't move above this range, we expect there to be some type of pullback. That's the hourly. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart to see what we can understand from this, and also we can see another resistance level there. So the more this is moving higher here, moving high in price short term and coming back to test that resistance line there, if it cannot move much farther than that, and if the RSI confirms resistance, what I'm saying here is somewhere around here might be another opportunity to add to that DUG position. So let's take a look at DUG, and we can see here that now, let's go back on the monthly. On the monthly, we can see that it's coming back to test that 76 buy point. So after moving and breaking out earlier in the month, so let's draw that. So there was a breakout that took the stock from 76 all the way to about 100. Remember, somewhere around here we decided to get out, or at least take partial profits, because we saw some reasons on the chart to do so. So that was a good call. Now we are trading here. I think you can look at this also as another test of the previous breakout level here. So if it can hold above 76, it could continue to trade higher. And keep in mind that we are still looking at the MACDs and the RSIs looking okay. In other words, the RSI could still continue moving higher, the MACDs could continue trading at fresh highs, and the main MACD is just now moving above zero, which is still net on a month-to-month basis a sign of a market that could eventually move higher. So above 76, we are still breaking out on the monthly. Now let's take a look at the weekly here again. And the weekly, and the one thing that I personally think could end up being the play here is, now that we've had 2 weeks of rest since the weekly closing high here, or but actually at 86.08. So that becomes our new buy point on a weekly chart. At some point, now that we can eventually move out above that with at least more than 2 weeks of rest at the minimum, any movement above 86.08 and the stock is going to be in play for a fresh breakout. So one way of looking at this is to add around here as it tests the previous breakout at 76. So it's trading at about 78 you can use this as an entry because it's coming back probably all the way back to test the breakout level, and again the breakout level was here at 76. Or another way to play this, so that's option number one. Option number two is to wait for the breakout. Just be patient, wait for the breakout above 86.08. So any breakout above that and the stock might be in play. We take a look at the daily. Again, here we're trying to find a reason to own this on a pullback, and we can see on the daily also we're coming back to test the entry. Let's call it somewhere around here, just under 50. We can draw a line from there. If it can hold that green line just like it did here late December for the lows at 67.5 before it moved to 100. If it can hold here again, might have a chance of moving high. We take a look at those hourly charts, and on the hourly charts we can see that if you take the entry here in the 55 area, draw a line like that. So because this is where the RSI moved out of a range, so we use that information for down the road timing purposes. Support here for the lows there, uniform activity support here for the lows here, double bottom support here for those lows. They did not hold, but now we are coming back and potentially holding around here. So also we can argue lower lows, slightly improving technicals. And let's take a look at the 30-minute chart. And what we have here on the 30-minute chart, similar to the hourly. Right now we are making a slight lower low with a slight, albeit slight, improvement on the RSI, which is okay. And also if you test that same line, so this line here, go backwards, it gives you a nice entry here recently on the 30-minute chart time frame when it moved from down here. So we know that the green line is legit. If it can hold there, it can bounce. The last time it bounced on this green line was here for the lows, precisely right there, before it moved from 80 to 100. That's a 20%, if not a 25% gain. So from a timing perspective, I think that's what's in play here. We'll see how it goes. But right now, with crude oil trading at about 33.50, so 33.50 on crude oil, I think you can take a stab at this one here, DUG. Take a look at USO right now again to see what it's doing on a day-to-day basis. Right now, up 5.12, a little bit pulling back, and I think all the things we've been looking at on the hourlies and on the 30-minute chart are starting to play out. So from a timing perspective, this is where you'd want to go long. Eric Mwathe, themwathe.com. We'll see how things go, and I'll leave you here with DUG's quote coming off the lows right now. It's trading close to the highs of the day. I think the timing that we've been talking about here is already beginning to play out. Eric Mwathe, themwathe.com. Let me know what you think. Good luck, peace and blessings. Talk to you later. I am out. Yeah.